Thank you. The annexation of Hyderabad was a military operation launched in September 1948 that resulted in the annexation of the princely state of Hyderabad by Government of India, which was dubbed a police action. In 1948, all the princely states had accepted to join in either India or Pakistan. One major exemption was that the wealthy state and most powerful princely state, Hyderabad, where the Nizam Mir Usman Ali Khan Asaf Jah VII choose independence and hoped to maintain this with his irregular army. After many warnings also, Nizam of Hyderabad not joined in Indian Union in 1948 on September 17th due to the annexation. Tricolor was posted in Hyderabad. Tiranga Hyderabad mein laharaya. I hope this discussion will give us a great picture about the annexation of Hyderabad. Over to you, Jhansi Garu.
Thank you, sir. Thank you, NBT, and thank you, Ministry of Education, for organizing this. And ఇది తెలుగులో డిస్కషన్ జరగాల్సింది. సో ఆపరేషన్ పోలో పైన హైదరాబాద్ మిలిటరీ రోల్ ఏంటి అని మనం ఈరోజు డిస్కస్ చేయబోతున్నాము. సో దాని గురించి మనం తెలుసుకోవడానికి మేజర్ జనరల్ గారు మనతో ఉన్నారు, శ్రీనివాసరావు గారు, ఇంకా అసిస్టెంట్ ప్రొఫెసర్ రాము గారు కూడా మనతో ఉన్నారు. సో బేసికలీ సార్, మేజర్ జనరల్ గారు, సో మీరు ఈ ఫీల్డ్లో ఉన్నారు కాబట్టి, సో వాట్ ఆర్ ది సర్కమ్స్టాన్సెస్ దట్ లెడ్ టు ఆపరేషన్ పోలో? వాట్ ఆర్ యువర్ వ్యూస్ ఆన్ ఇట్?
Jai Hind, friends. I am, as introduced, Major General Srinivas Rao. I am from Hyderabad and I commanded as General Officer Commanding of Telangana and Andhra. So I thank the National Book Trust, the leadership and the Ministry of Education for inviting me, a Hyderabadi and who has commanded as a Major General in Hyderabad, to speak on Hyderabad liberation. Thank you very much. Okay, తెలుగులో మాట్లాడినా ఇంగ్లీష్లో సగం తెలుగు సగం ఇంగ్లీష్లోనేనా? ఓకే ఓకే. సో we got independence on 15th of August 1947. But there were a large number of states who were left either to join Dominion of India or Pakistan. Or if they wanted to be independent, they could be independent. One of them was Hyderabad. Whereas all the other princely states preferred to join the Dominion of India willingly, the Nawab of Hyderabad, he refused to do so. He didn't want to join Pakistan, he didn't want to join India, he wanted to be independent. He wanted to be a member of the Commonwealth under the British Crown. He wanted to be a member of the United Nations. This was not acceptable to the Indian leadership. He was so ambitious and so arrogant that in spite of what is happening around, he, along with his Razakars, an irregular army, had butchered several peasants. They could not control the situation. They were getting inputs that India is preparing to attack them. And he wanted more and more army, military hardware, and soldiers. He was recruiting from some Muslims from outside of India, Arabs. His own commander-in-chief, Major General Aldous, was an Arab. His army consisted of 22,000 soldiers, but majority of the people were officers were Muslims. Whereas 85% of the population of Hyderabad state were Hindus. Hindus did not get any representation in the higher posts. These people, the Jagirdars or the royalty or the princes, they were living a luxurious life in Hyderabad. Whereas majority of the Telangana people, peasants, they were in utter poverty. This was not acceptable. So we wanted the Indian dominion. Then it was not a Republic of India. Pandit Jawaharlal Nehru and Sardar Vallabhbhai Patel and the cabinet, they wanted to have negotiations with Nawab, with the Nizam, to join Indian dominion. He was refusing. They went into a standstill agreement. He sent few of them to Delhi, but he could not. The proposals given by the Indian government were not acceptable to him. Why? Because Qasim Rizvi, who was the de facto leader of Razakars, who were 2 lakhs in number, who were irregular force, they protested. They said, we will not let you do it. So, this standstill agreement was also not signed. You know that from Sholapur, Bombay Presidency to Madras Presidency, the rail routes and main roads pass through Hyderabad. They were stopping it. Razakars were assaulting the trains. They were disrupting, they were looting, they were raping, they were pillaging the villages. So now there is a situation where the population of Hyderabad were being harassed and India could not do anything. And if India permitted Hyderabad state to be an independent nation in our own land, then it will be like a cancer. It will be an ulcer in our belly. Hence, our leadership was clear. We have to take Hyderabad by, even if required, by force. But Lord Mountbatten and the other leaders, they said, let us discuss. Let diplomacy work. But diplomacy did not work. Finally, we had to go in for police action. Why? Hyderabad was not an independent country that we wage a war. It is not a military operation. It was part of India. It is within the Indian domain. So appropriate is to cause our own internal problems, we will use police. So hence it was a police action, but conducted by military, hence called Operation Polo.
Thank you so much, sir, for that wonderful insight onto the circumstances that led to the Operation Polo. So I would like to ask Sri Ramalu, sir, could you tell us, like sir very aptly said, the condition of the peasantry in Telangana. So what do you think was the socio-economic condition of common people in Telangana during this time?
Thank you. Hello. Thank you. Thank you, Jansaji. I would like to extend my sincere thanks to National Book Trust, Ministry of Education, and Dr. Pattipaka Mohan Garu for giving me this wonderful opportunity. So, yes, as you mentioned, this Operation Polo has started due to various reasons, including their willingness to join with Pakistan. Apart from this, the major reason for the Operation Polo is the last option. Behind the Operation Polo, there was so many dire poverty conditions has led the government of India to take proper action. Because during the Nizam period in Telangana, especially we call it as the Hyderabad state. Hyderabad state consists of Telangana region and Marathwada region. Marathwada region consists of Kannada speaking people as well as Marathi speaking people. So in these areas, the government has not allowed to open private schools in at least in their mother tongue. At least within the private schools, I'm saying. The government has either they were not willing to operate the government schools in the mother tongue, where the majority of the population, around 85% of the population, are Hindus, whose mother tongue was maybe Telugu or Marathi or Kannada. So this is number one, first point, means how the education was denied by the government of Nizam for their own people itself. So as a result, there was no proper social mobility among the people. There was no proper employment. Even the Nizam has also brought some non-Mulki people from Bengal, Madras, other presidencies who know better English to give some key positions in their administration part. That is another reason. So means there is a they say that there is no proper availability of the people in their state. That's why they brought the people like Agorna Chattopadhyay, some people like that they brought it. So this is the reason. Another one is the important one is the peasant community. Peasant community was not at all happy because during those days agriculture was the main occupation. Even today also India is depending on agriculture. So during that time the Jagidari system was there where Deshmukhs and Deshpandes were recruited, and they are the intermediate people. They used to collect the tax from the people. So whether the crop yield is good or bad, that doesn't matter, and they used to collect the lot of taxes from the people, peasant. And almost 50% of the land is in the hand of the government or maybe in the hands of the Jagidar. So this is the way how the completely the agrarian unrest has resulted in this particular struggle, peasant armed struggle movement. And another important one is the government of Nizam. They have not prioritized the irrigation project. If you see what are the irrigation projects they have built, if you see, we can find only Usman Sagar and Himayat Sagar, which were only the drinking water facility they have constructed only for Hyderabad. Apart, that's why if I can find, there is no other major city except Hyderabad during Hyderabad state. That is very, very important. If you see Andhra, you will find around 10, 20 towns we will get. But in Hyderabad, except Hyderabad state, there is no other major city as developed by the Nizam. That is another big fault. So this has led the people to revolt against the Nizam.
Thank you, Shri Ramlu. Very well put, in fact, about the socio-economic conditions and how that also has been one of the reasons for the unrest that was caused in Hyderabad. Sir, you being a military journal yourself, could you please throw some light on the preparations for the operation? And what was the strategy that General Chowdhury Garu followed?
Thank you. That's a nice question being asked to a military officer. The preparation for any war takes months of training, planning, intelligence gathering, approvals at various levels, discussions, and then final waiting for the go-ahead. From 1947, since we got independence, since the time we got independence, the trouble that has started in Hyderabad was bothering our leadership. We should understand that the Indian armed forces, when we got independence, were not in the form that we are day to day. There was army which was directly under British, which was handed over to us, and there were number of princely states who had their own armies. They also merged with the India. And now the formations, that is a battalion, brigade, division, corps, such things were not existed. But we had to do with whatever we have. At the same time, in Jammu and Kashmir, the Pakistan has launched the irregulars to capture Srinagar. Our forces were to be applied there. And because of the Hindu-Muslim riots and the tension, communal tension that was prevalent, we were not sure that Pakistan may attack us in Gujarat or Kutch from that side. We have to be prepared for that. And now in Hyderabad state, liberation may also come up. So the leadership in the army headquarters were preparing plans and discussing with the government. The government was approaching both ways through diplomacy as well as giving guidance to the military forces. The forces that were required to attack and capture or liberate Hyderabad had to be assembled from all over the country. They were not readily available. And the attack cannot be from one direction with a huge force, because from the other directions, they may open up and they may attack us. We have to protect all the Bengal presidency, Madras presidency, and the central provinces and Berar from attacks from the Nizam army. And we have to go at the fastest pace and liberate the Hyderabad state with minimum of civilian casualties. So this force had to be assembled. So this took some time, but as the events deteriorated and the Razakars were pillaging the villages and the peasants of Telangana were in dire straits, and Nizam was not responding to our messages, the government's messages. So finally, and Muhammad Ali Jinnah was also ready to support Nizam. And all outsiders, a minority of Muslims in Hyderabad state wanted a caliphate sort of thing under Nizam, under which all Muslims will come. And Muhammad Ali Jinnah was also favoring this. That was a dangerous situation for India. So India was inclined to give go-ahead, and they gave the go-ahead in September. Though we could have done it earlier, because of the rains, it is not possible for us to bring the armored and heavy vehicles through the paddy fields. We cannot just move on the road because it will be mined. There will be opposition. There will be defiles on which we will be ambushed. So an attack plan was made. That was made by and approved by the government. At the head of, as CNC, Commander-in-Chief was General Butcher, a Britisher. After that came General Cariappa. The DMO there, the Director of Military Operations who made this plan was Rajendra Singh Ji. He was made the overall commander of this attack. And General J.N. Chaudhary, Major General J.N. Chaudhary was given the main task of, with the largest force, to attack from Sholapur, Zahirabad, Hyderabad axis. To support this, on Aurangabad, Jalna, Usmanabad, Bidar, this area was also required to be captured. The Razakars and the Nizam army does not interfere with then called Bezawada or Gannavaram airfields. We had to protect that area. We have to protect the area towards Karnataka, towards Madras presidency also. So the forces were also required here. So overall, as per the final plan, the Southern Army Commander was in charge of these operations, which was given the main thrust from the west, was handed over to, under the leadership of J.N. Chaudhary. Bengal area, the General Barar towards Aurangabad, and Bidar and Jalna axis, and Major General A. Rudra, the GOC of Madras area, Bezawada station area commander, and from Karnataka. So the forces were assembled and they were to attack. And this is how the plan was made. In case another question comes, the details of the plan will be discussed. In all, India had about 36,000 troops. We had artillery, we had armored, we had motorized battalions, we had engineer forces, and infantry. The Nizam army had 22,000 troops, but they were not well trained. All these people were deployed under various brigadiers in various district headquarters, north, west, south, east, and central. In the center was Hyderabad, where the Commander-in-Chief, Major General L. Roos, used to sit. But rest of the places were occupied by the troops. However, the Razakars, they spread into all over Telangana. Nobody had any control over them. Qasim Rizvi, he was the commander. They could do whatever they want. They didn't follow any laws of any protocol or methodology. They exploited the peasants. They killed, raped, looted. Under these conditions, on 13th of September at 0400 hours, the Indian forces under J.N. Chaudhary crossed Sholapur, captured Jalna Fort, because Jalna Fort, there is a fort, Naldurg Fort. Naldurg Fort was fortified. Unless we clear that, we cannot use the axis of Sholapur, Naldurg, and Zahirabad. Once Naldurg was captured, we had to face some opposition. So though they were ill prepared, but all these strategic points were occupied by them with enough force to give us a good fight. So after this area was gone, then we proceeded further towards Bidar and Zahirabad, Umarga. There were small villages and townships which were on heights or on defiles where forces deployment is possible to oppose any opposition, any attacking force. We had suffered very less casualties, though we had suffered casualties. The resistance was there. But having captured, say, this Naldurg Fort and the areas around, we had to clear the villages of these Razakars and the resistance forces that were there. Otherwise, they will interfere with our lines of communication which are heading towards Zahirabad and Hyderabad. At the same time, at Bezawada Station Commander, there we had forces assembled which were going towards Suryapet and Narkatpalli and further towards Chittial. By 17th, the forces from the east came up to Chittial, about 60 kilometers from Hyderabad, whereas the western thrust came just beyond Bidar. The axis from Bidar, Zahirabad towards Hyderabad was mined. So, and one bridge was also blown up by the Nizam's army. Hence, we couldn't proceed further. To protect ourselves from the north, Aurangabad and Usmanabad, they were also captured and the thrust came from that side. So it was realized by 17th afternoon that the Nizam army cannot oppose the Indian army. It was very clear to them. And they advised, the Indian government sent a message to them that do not lose more lives in this foolish war. You surrender to us. He was not prepared to surrender. But he said, I'll order ceasefire. But the military leadership was not prepared. They said in this, there will be a military surrender parade. This was scheduled for 18th of September, 12 o'clock. But for some reason, they could not, it would have normally been taken by the Maharaja Rajendra Singh Ji, but he ordered J.N. Chaudhary, who was the commander of the main attacking force, to take the surrender of El Daruz, the commander of Nizam forces, as well as the entire army, and then disband the Razakars. And he was also been appointed as military governor of Hyderabad state. This is how Operation Polo ended.
Thank you, sir. In fact, the Operation Polo in Hyderabad has a very special place in the military history of India. And it was, in fact, first clear-cut and indisputable military success, right? Which was won by the armed forces for our independent India. And, talking about Sardar Patel ji or VP Menon ji or even General Chaudhary ji, it is very less. Actually, they've played a very important role. And the army, like Operation Polo, was ready by February, if I'm not wrong. And so the decision was that, it had to be postponed by a few months. So do you agree with the decision that postponement was beneficial for the army?
So if you recall, even when we liberated Bangladesh, Sam Manekshaw, the then army chief, was asked, "Can you go in now?" by Prime Minister Indira Gandhi. He said, "We are not ready. Our forces, our equipment is low. I need 6 months to prepare. Then I can give you success." Similarly, here, the political leadership may say, "Do it now." But the military leadership has to decide what all we need. Are we fully prepared? Do we have the enough resources? Do we have arms, ammunition, equipment? In what state they are? And is the terrain and the weather proper? So all these considerations go into a called military appreciation by the commander. And for this, the intelligence inputs are required. These intelligence inputs come from various sources. So with this, our plan was ready, but we needed some time. In fact, the political leadership wanted to postpone this operation because they wanted diplomacy. Diplomatically, in case they can win over the Nizam, then it is better. And even Lord Mountbatten was also suggesting this. But Sardar Vallabhbhai Patel he said he had no patience for all this. He said, militarily, we have to launch an operation and then liberate Hyderabad. So the time was required, especially looking at the way the Indian armed forces were dispersed all over the country, the threat that was there from Pakistan, there were already ongoing operations in Jammu and Kashmir, the communal situation that was in both in Punjab, towards Punjab as well as Bengal. So it was a correct decision to postpone it to September.
Thank you, sir. I think that very well explains how our Indian Army, our military strength has been so capable, and it has remained so for so many years, and will do so in future as well. Thank you so much, sir. And Sri Ramalu, sir, Operation Polo, we understand, was carried to safeguard our nation's integrity, right? So do you see it as a social revolution as well? If so, why?
Hello? Yes, it is also a social revolution. If we see from the international perspective, we can have French Revolution. So there is a similarity between French Revolution and the Indian, maybe Telangana's armed struggle, or including the Operation Polo. The same way how there they have the kings did, and they did nothing for the common man in French Revolution, in the France. The same way in Telangana also it has happened. I will try to share you some of the statistics. Almost Nizam has ruled Hyderabad state almost 224 years. Matlab 1724 to 1948. They have ruled for 224 years, and within that they changed the language policy. In 1884, they replaced the Persian with Urdu as the official language. So this making Urdu has lot of political and cultural negligence on the Hindu people. So almost this because of this reason, they also started Usman University. They established in 1918 on the name of giving modern education, modern higher education. But it is limited to the only elite people. And if anyone wants to study their higher education in UK, that is Britain, again they put a major clause that a person can be proficiency either in Persian or in Urdu. So this is again another big hurdle for the Hindu students, those who wanted to pursue their higher education in UK. And apart from we have some live instance. P.V. Narasimha Rao has participated, our late Prime Minister P.V. Narasimha Rao participated in Vande Mataram movement. So the government of Nizam, they have debarred him from his education, and he joined later on Ferguson College, as well as he completed his PG from Pune University. So this is a simple example how the government has brutally not encouraged the common man to study even the education. This is one. Another one is we can see out of these 24 years, the literacy rate in Hyderabad, if you see, in 1921 it is 3.3%, just 3.3%. So when compared to other states, it was Mysore 8.4 in same 1921, then Baroda 14.7, and Cochin 21.4, and Travancore 27.9. So because of this reason, Kerala is in top, because of their kings has encouraged the education. And another parameter is English literacy rate. In English literacy rate, we have in Hyderabad state we have only 0.3%. 0.3% English literacy. Means out of 1,000 people, only 3 people know the English. When compared to other states like Bombay Presidency, it is 1.2% English literacy rate in the same 1921 year. Then Madras, it is 1.1%. Again, within this literacy rate, it is out of this 3.3, Hindus are only 2.6% and Muslims are 8.9%, which means if you see the general notion, the majority people should have major share in the literacy rate or maybe economy or whatever it may be, some development. But it is in reverse. Their number is less, the Muslim number is less, and their political leadership as well administrative leadership they are enjoying. Despite of that, their literacy rate is very high. And also in English literacy also, Muslim are 0.9%, the average is 0.3%, but Hindus are 0.2%. Here also there is a very clear-cut negligence by the government of Hyderabad state on the Hindu population, very, very clear. So that's why people, some of the social reformers like Bhagireddy Verma is also there. So he worked for the marginal communities within the Hyderabad city. And however, they did some good thing, but that only up to Hyderabad. Up to Hyderabad, we can see Secunderabad is there. So due to that alliance with the government of Hyderabad, some British people have established some colleges, schools. That's why even now also you can see Secunderabad is having a lot of Christian missionary schools and colleges. But it is not expanded throughout the state. That is the major problem. So that's why people have revolted against the government, and they maybe the government might be the government of India has thought that it is not simply the police action. It is a police action including the social social revolution to save the majority of the state, that is Hindus or maybe other people.
Thank you, sir. We would like to close this panel discussion with one last question for General sir. So, how did the military deal with the aftermath of accession of Hyderabad?
Okay. As we know, the governance of Hyderabad state was in shambles. Jagirdars and the feudals, they didn't want to give up power. Peasants were in pathetic condition. There was no administration. Razakars were ruling the roost. And Nizam could not control anything. Now, the administration need to be stabilized. That is only possible if there is a military governor. General J.N. Chowdhury, Major General J.N. Chowdhury was appointed as military governor for Hyderabad state. And Nizam was Raj Pramukh. He was a titular head. During the preparations for the war or Operation Polo, the Indian government also realized that there is a requirement of civil servants. Bureaucracy, administration is required to be set up, and people were selected from other provinces, that is from Bengal, from central provinces, the Madras and presidency and the Bombay presidency. They were already shortlisted. So the moment General J.N. Chowdhury took the surrender of CNC of Nizam, straight away he switched on to the military governor's role, and then removing all the rest of the elements of Razakars, disbanding them, collection of arms and ammunition which were illegally stored in different villages and parts of Hyderabad state, posting and installing the civil bureaucracy, whether it is, now we call it IAS officers, ICS officers or PCS officers, revenue, police, judicial system, that was required to be set in place. So this was required to be supervised. And all these things were done by the military governor with the help of the military. Subsequently, when they joined Dominion of India after the Republic was, after we accepted the constitution, the same constitution was applicable to the Hyderabad state also. That is the time the military slowly started withdrawing from the administration of the civil areas, and then they went back to the barracks. So this can happen anytime. Indian armed forces are always ready to aid the civil authorities to maintain peace and help in internal security. Whether it is natural calamities or man-made calamities, we are always there to help them. Me as veteran, and along with the other veterans in Hyderabad and who have settled in Telangana state, we are ever ready to help the local administration in whatever way we can with the training that we have and the planning to details that we have learned while serving in the Indian Army.
Sri Ramlu sir, would you like to add anything to what sir has already said?
Yeah. So after the government has formed, especially the caretaker government, they have immediately identified how many villages are there in the state without primary school. They identified almost 17,000 schools were there, and they were ready to sanction almost, they sanctioned 7,000 schools, and remaining 10,000 schools were, villages were set up after 10. So they have some clear-cut plan, short-term plan as well as long-term plan. They also taken care to giving the teacher training for women. That is a major problem, and they identified. They also taken the initiation for starting the schools parallel along with the Persian language. They also opened they instructed the teachers to teach the students in local languages, whether it is Telugu, Marathi or Kannada. And out of these things, these local schools, how the mother tongue schools were developed is, the major thing was Arya Samaj has developed one Vivekavardhini school. Still it is functioning in Hyderabad. Very near to MGBS bus station it is available. Still they are offering school as well as college education, including PG is also available. Vivekavardhini Pathshala. Then they also have some other people who worked in Andhra, they set up some organizations in Hyderabad also for the interest of the Telugu people. Especially they have established some organizations like Andhra Bhasha Nilayam, Raja Bhasha Nilayam, something like that. They organized some organization and worked for the Telugu people and promoted education among the Telugu people by publication of the small books. So this is how the caretaker government has taken much care about the education. Apart from that, the police action has brought some democracy in Telangana region, including after the formation of the state, Telangana has merged with the Andhra in 1956. Remaining two parts, Kannada speaking regions were clubbed with the Karnataka and Marathi speaking regions clubbed with the Maharashtra. So this is the situation. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. In fact, some of the moves were very brilliantly planned and very aptly executed by our Indian military. And today's panel discussion is an ode to the military history of India and also how our military has played such an immense role in integrating India and reminding once again that all of us are one. Unity in diversity is what, Operation Polo also teaches us. And the Operation Polo will be immemorial in the history of India, in fact, the history of the entire world, for being one of the most well-planned operations. And in fact, the irresistible advance joined along with the exemplary behavior of the Indian forces towards the civil population, irrespective of their religion, irrespective of their creed. It nipped the guerrilla menace in the bud and prevented the prolonged resistance in the countryside. The results fully vindicated the strategy adopted by the Indian Army in Operation Polo. Jai Hind.
Thank you, Dr. Jansi Garu and Major General in Srinivas Rao Garu, Dr. Sriram Garu. What I would like to add on this session, there are so many reasons to take place of the Operation Polo. One is Andhra Mahasabha, which Dr. Sriram has explained. The Telugu people who fought for their language and religion and everything. And second one is Telangana armed struggle movement also played a great role for Operation Polo background. And another one is Arya Mahasabha also created a lot of space for fight against the Nizam. Thank you one and all. Right now we have another panel discussion. I would like to invite Patel ji. Patel ji, please welcome. Thank you, sir. Yeah, I will take a photo. Yeah, please, madam, please come. Shankarana, Rani. Please. Rana, photo. One group photo. Patel ji, आइए.
थैंक यू। नमस्कार। अगला कार्यक्रम इस मंच पे संस्कृत भाषा से संबद्ध है।